rolling.
Are we recording?
We're recording. You can always edit later.
Got it. All right, so let's think of a hook intro.
Well, I
What are you
mean,
gonna do?
I paid $5,000 to go to an event, and then I spent 3 days there, and then I had the opportunity to go 2 more times, so I went 2 more times. So that's tells you a lot about the quality of the event. If I would pay that much money to go, and then I would spend 2 more weekends where I could be with my family going to the same event again, the quality was unbelievable.
Yeah. So let's give them the proper intro, which is this was Jeffrey Gittimer's sales certification event, a 3-day
Mhm.
event held in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And what's his most famous quote?
Nobody likes to be sold. Everybody loves to buy.
Yeah. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy.
Yep.
Right. And for people that are watching, you might be a business owner, entrepreneur. And even if you're working a 9 to 5, you have to sell yourself sometime to get the next job.
Mhm.
Negotiate. So we went out of our way to go learn from the best
Yeah.
and get better at sales. Because I believe the average amount that most salespeople spend on themselves every year, guess how much? Like, what do you think?
I
This
don't
is
know
from
this
Jeremy
number.
Miner.
Spend on themselves.
To educate themselves.
I'm glad you brought up Jeremy Miner, because I actually have a question for you regarding some of the stuff we talked about with Soft Talk and some of the scripting I've seen from Jeremy. My guess, David, my guess is the average salesperson spends $300 a year on their self development.
$60 is what they spend.
Oh, I was off by about 50 times.
Yeah, $240. Wow. So what does that say is that if you want to be better at sales, be competitive, just make more money
Yeah.
for you and your family, the barrier to success is pretty low in there.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing we were talking about in the ride over here too, David, is the fact that life is sales. At the end of
Life
the day,
is sales.
life is sales. You know, and you've been technically a salesperson for how long?
Yeah. Well, my whole life, right? Is
No,
that
no,
what you're gonna
technically,
say?
technically.
Technically, well, if you're a business owner, you're a salesperson.
Mhm.
Sorry. Sorry, you could say you hate salespeople, but you're a salesperson.
Yeah.
And if you hate salespeople and you're a business owner, you're just a shitty salesperson.
You hate yourself.
Yeah, you hate yourself.
And
I've
your
actually
paychecks
seen that.
probably reflect it.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Like, I've met
Oh,
door-to-door
dude,
guys
yeah.
that, like, hate cold callers, but they're a cold caller themselves. So,
Yeah.
it happens.
No, but you started really
It's been
being a
like-
business owner.
Like 9 months ago.
9 months?
When I got laid off. Maybe it's been 9 already, but
I think you could say it's been longer, because you started getting paid for the coaching that you were doing for people before you got laid off, right?
yeah. Yeah,
So
I was
you
getting
kind of like were dabbling in sales.
dabbling in it. Yeah, but I was terrible. It was like people would wrangle me on the phone to like essentially let them do it for free,
Yeah.
right? To let me coach them
Yeah.
for free. But if you've ever read a book called $100 Million Offers, when people pay, they pay attention. When they don't pay,
Oh, it's
they
so
don't
true.
treat it. So if you want quality clients, I noticed
That's
I
so
had
true.
more quality clients,
Yeah.
the higher my
That's
price.
so true. There has to be skin in the game,
There has to be
right?
skin in the game.
There's got to be skin in the game. Otherwise, you know, like it's like the difference between playing poker for $5 buy-in and $50 buy-in.
Yeah.
Or $20 buy-in and $100 buy-in, depending on your budget, right? Like you sit down with a table of guys and you're playing for $5. It's wild, wild west. People are going all in on like total trash hands, right? And you're there trying to actually play poker, and you're like, you can't play the game because you're trying to be serious and pretend that it's real money, and these people are just throwing away. But when you're playing for $100 buy-in, and top winner makes $800, you're playing a lot more serious,
You
and you
feel it.
play a lot better at the end of the day. So I think that's one thing, and like we could probably just do this whole thing off on tangents. But before we jump into takeaways from Gittimer's training, I think that's one thing is when you own your own business, when you're a salesperson, the fact that you're risking it all, like the more you have on the line to lose, the better performance you're going to put forward because it demands it. Would you agree?
Yeah, and everything on the line.
Yeah.
An exercise that my mentors have made me do is like, David, what is really all on the line? Like, what happens? Because my mentors have been through it all where they've been in serious debt. Credit is just tanked. But did you die?
Right.
But did you die?
Yeah. Did you die?
Right. And did you experience something that 99% of people didn't experience? And the only way is up from there, really. So that's a good exercise. I like what you said. Let's get into
Yeah.
these last 3 days.
So you taught me something earlier today. Great coach, by the way. My wife was out here. We were getting to know each other, and my wife Carmen, she reads very slowly, and so he took the opportunity graciously enough to just like coach her a little bit and talk through the process. And you talked about it's preview, question, read, summarize, and then test.
Perfect. Good memory.
And speaking of preview, right, like you brought up a good point, like, hey, before you read a book, look at the author, maybe read a random chapter, listen to that author on a podcast or watch some videos to decide if you even want to watch it. So before you decide if you even want to watch the rest of our video about this training we went to, you consumed Gittimer's books recently.
Yeah.
And had no choice after doing so but to put your money on the line, buy a ticket, buy a hotel, come out to Charlotte and see him. So how would you summarize Jeffrey Gittimer, the salesperson / author, to our audience if they're not familiar with him?
Yeah, so PQRST, why did he spell that out for you? Well, that is, if you read these books on learning how to learn faster, how to read faster, because reading faster is just thinking faster. We're not getting into that stuff today. But that first part, preview. So previewing what's in this video will get you excited and primed to know what we're going to talk about. And with what you're bringing up,
Yeah.
What I would explain about Jeffrey Gittimer, he's helping you attract buyers and pre-handle objections and really just bring sales into your business, generate leads among, I would say, all fronts. That's how I'd explain it, because some things he brings up, which we can get into, it's like developing your creative mind. How many salespeople tell you to become more creative and read books on being creative? Having a blog where people can do a deep dive and learn about you. So Jeffrey is an amazing writer, author, speaker, mentor, and salesperson, all bundled up. What were the 3 things? He said it's sales, writing, and speaking. Those are the 3 things you love. And if you feel like you'd like to get better at those 3, you should read this guy's books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many does he have? 20?
Like 16,
16?
17, something
Yeah.
like that.
Most famous one, I think, like older people at least, the Sales Bible, Little Red Book of Selling. If you see the cover, it's like instantly memorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's jump into it. So let me look through my notes because I have the same notes from different days. I'm just going to go to day 1 from the first time I saw him. And this was in South Carolina back in November. And I can tell you there was some things that were very different the first time than when I was just there this weekend. Not better, not worse, just different. But one thing that he did more in depth when I was at the first training, and he touched on it on Friday, is defining moments, right? And the reason that you've got to understand and articulate your defining moments is because ultimately when you're a salesperson, you are your product. And you have to define who you are. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know what's the current situation. Like, there's so many reasons behind it, but those defining moments of who you are, how you became who you are. So take some time practically from this right now. Pause it real quick. Just write down your defining moments. We'll keep it brief, but what's one of your defining
Well,
moments?
Eric is bringing this up because it's the foundation, the fundamental of who you are, why are you here, and if you have those at the forefront of your mind, the top of your mind, you will have that desire and urgency. Have you ever met someone where it's like, Jesus, this guy, I think he's gonna die the next day. He's like always on fire. Like, what if you were on fire for your business, for your dreams, for your family? So that's like, I've got the table of contents right in front of me, and the big part of it is your sales success attitude. Your attitude. So one thing that Jeffrey brings up is that a lot of salespeople, a lot of business people jump right to the middle, which is action. They, like, some of the people that really need the fundamental mindset changes are the people that say they don't need it at all. Okay? So you doing this, your attitude plus preparation gets you this engagement that Jeffrey Gitomer is talking about. This is helping you prepare to win. So that's what I really liked, is we're starting out with mindset. And like the smartest guys, no matter how smart they are, they always check themselves on the basics, mastering the basics.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember who said it, but I'll never forget it because the formula is so true. And I'm guessing he covered it yesterday afternoon after I had to leave, or maybe today when I wasn't there. But like you said, most people are going to start in the middle with the actions. Well, your actions is what dictates your results. Your results as a salesperson or a business owner or whatever it is, honestly, even if you work for a company, if you get bad results, you're not going to get a raise. Your results dictate your lifestyle. So people are jumping into the actions, but they don't understand that their actions are a result of their attitude. And your attitude can only come from your philosophy. So you've got to look at your defining moments, but you've got to take some time and like find out what kind of philosophy you have. And in the conversation that we were having earlier, I don't remember the exact context of it, David, but you had mentioned like bad programming, we get trained wrong, right? And it's true. So many of us just have jacked up, backwards philosophies that are holding us back, right? We believe things about the world. We believe them to be absolutely true. And until somebody comes away and plucks the scales from your eyes and shows you that you've been seeing the world wrong for your entire life, your attitude is always going to be the same about sales, about business, about your customers, about reading, right?
Yeah, and that attitude that sticks with us, right? Like that really hard program stuff takes an extra effort. Like if you've read Think and Grow Rich, it talks about, like, think about those defining moments. Why are they defining moments? They're probably highly emotionally charged. There's a lot going on. Like for some people, what it takes is like a family member dying or something tragic to make them decide, you know what, I almost died, so now I'm going to follow my dreams. Why do you need to wait for yourself to die? Why can't you master your emotions and make that happen? But yeah, that's the thing there. So let's get into what else was in the 3 days. Right here, so I've got right here what I liked as well as that. The next thing we covered was talking about perceived value and value attraction. So instead of focusing on how to sell, why don't you focus on why people buy? The psychology of what gets them to buy. So you actually hit their needs there with your product. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw another log on the fire just because it's getting cold.
Yeah.
So we can get some more light as well.
Sweet.
But you've been coaching entrepreneurs, business owners, leader. What's your most unique client that you're coaching?
Let's see, most unique. Let's see. One of them, she's the CEO of a painting company for jets and planes.
Oh, nice.
And one of them that she did,
Dope.
her name's Teresa, Art Craft Paint.
Look it up.
I think they did a glow in the dark one for some planes, which is kind of insane.
That's
But
insane.
she's an amazing woman,
Yeah.
and I really wanted her to join. She had some like resistance because like she knows she just needs to read
Mhm.
more, but she has an amazing story. It's like, look, like you gotta read because I want you to write your book. Essentially,
Yeah.
and when you read books, it helps you write your book.
So why do your clients buy coaching from you on reading?
Yeah, and Jeffrey Gitomer would have the answer to that. Why do people buy from me? The question is really like, why do people buy from anyone? I like to say that, well, I know this, is that people trust me. Like they trust me there. And Jeffrey has a book that I read, the Little Teal Book of Trust. It's like building trust. So you have two people, me and you. I have a belief in techniques. I have a belief that you could read more books, right? In order to transfer that belief to you, there's a bridge between us, and that bridge is built out of what? Trust. So the stronger that foundation, you build that. Which is why just learning how to sell isn't enough. So next thing, from here. So we talked about uncovering why people buy. Uncovering why people buy. Why should we even really unpack that? Uncovering why people buy.
Outcomes. Right?
Outcomes.
That's one of the key things. I won't say too much without getting back in the chair.
Yeah. So uncovering why they buy, which is outcomes, being results based, and also do your testimonials. Do you have testimonials?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I could tell you, I can get you results, but you know what's 100 times more effective? Video testimony of someone saying the same exact thing, but it's not me. Because who cares if I say it? Honestly, I don't care if I say it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have someone else say it for me.
Well, to Jeffrey's point too, is like, hey, why do people buy? You probably don't know. How will you find it out? Ask. Crazy, right? If you don't know something, ask.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that attracted me to you so much in when we met and when we were in the training is you ask a lot of questions, right? You always had a question about something. You were asking a lot of questions. You know, Jen would say, like, any questions? You're like, yeah, I have one. And then she's like, okay, any more questions? Like, yeah, I have another one. It's like, all right, let somebody else ask a question, damn it. Like,
No one wanted to ask a question. It was dead. Like, I was just like, I saw that there's a whole room, and we're in front of Jen and Jeffrey fucking Gitomer.
Yeah.
And no one's asking questions. You know what that shows? It shows, like, lack of preparedness or just, like, I don't know. Just,
I
like,
think
curiosity or...
I think it shows a couple of things, and this goes back, and this will go back into so much of that foundation that we're talking about those defining moments. Well, the reason the defining moments are important is because it really does build your philosophy, which affects your attitude, then therefore your actions, your results, your lifestyle. I think it's a combination of things. People don't ask questions, because they lack the intelligence to understand how a piece of information is going to take them from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to say that in an offensive way, but I just think in general that's one reason that people don't ask questions is their mind does not work fast enough to understand, hey, there's things that I know now, there's value in these things, but there's something on the other side that I need to get more information for in order to get to where I want to be. So I think that's one reason. I think another reason is fear. A lot of people are are just nervous in front of other people.
Yeah.
I think they don't ask questions because they don't want to look stupid.
Yeah. I'll look stupid. I'll ask
Yeah.
stupid questions, because if you ask a stupid question, what happens? You learn from it.
Yeah.
What else? What could go wrong?
Yeah. You know, when
learned
I
that it was
coach
a stupid
people-
question. There you go.
And this is generally like a good rule for you, and this might be something you can steal. You can use this with your clients, right? So when I coach somebody, I have a rule, and I call it the whitewater rafting rule. So if you've ever been whitewater rafting, oftentimes there's an orientation. Here in North Carolina, we have the National Whitewater Center, and it's man-made rapids, but the Olympians train there. Watch those sparks. We're getting some energy going. Sparks are flying, guys.
Sparks are flying.
So at the orientation, they basically go in and they tell you, they say, hey, listen, when you fall in, not if you fall in, when you fall in, when you fall in the water, don't panic. We will rescue you. However, you have to be an active participant in your own rescue. Meaning, when you fall in the water and you're drowning, put your hands up and say, hey, help, I'm here, I'm drowning over here, help me. When they throw the rope, grab onto the rope, right? Because it requires active participation for your personal, professional, spiritual, financial growth to happen. You have to be an active participant. No one is going to string you along to the point where you will become successful without your own asking for help. So I tell people in coaching, like, listen, if I check in with you and you have a question, but you don't ask that question, I'm going to assume that you're doing everything and you don't have any questions because you didn't ask any. And then what's going to happen for some of your clients is they're going to struggle to finish their second book in their second week because they didn't want to look dumb. So they didn't ask you a question about a technique that you had taught them or about a roadblock that they had come up upon that they needed some help overcoming. They're like, I don't want to look dumb. So they're not going to ask that question, and you're not going to know how to help them.
Which is why I have a leaderboard that tracks so I can see when someone slips up, which is where I reach out, diagnose, and find what the issue is, where it's like, okay, it's all the same. It's never nothing new. They think it's something new. For me, I've seen it time and time again. It's like, oh, I don't have enough time. It's like, well, you're a business owner. You control your schedule, don't you? Right? You know what I mean? So it's because if you're a business owner, you can't even take 30 minutes to an hour to read a book. Are you really a business owner? Or are you kind of just like trapped and you're self-employed, really?
Yeah, well, many people, I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that breaks down those 4 quadrants. And what you're talking about is like, hey, you don't own a business, you own a job, right? Like you have a job where you work for somebody else.
You own a job
now
that's
you own a
freaking
job
in the weekend, too. You don't even have weekends off.
Yeah.
Your boss kind of sucks because you're your boss.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true, man. But asking questions, like, so I think people don't want to look dumb. I think that they don't. And again, I don't mean to offend anybody. And if this is you, then you're not going to be offended because you know it's you. So you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, right? But there's people that just lack. I don't want to say intelligence. Here's what I'll say: their mind is out of shape.
Yeah, mind is a muscle. That's
They're
it.
just
Very
they're
simple.
meant their brain
You just
muscle.
don't have the questions. You just
Like,
don't have the questions.
I'm
been
out of
there.
shape. I have a rower in my basement, and I rarely use it. And I get on it, and it kicks my butt. But I feel really good afterward. But I always prefer my pillow and my down comforter to that bony rowing seat and getting all sweaty.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't have toned abs. I'm sure you've got like a 9-pack probably.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm all right.
But your mind is a muscle. So I think there's some people, I'm not going to say they lack the intelligence. I'm going to say that they lack the mental fitness because they're not exercising their mind.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Because I do coach my clients. So like I'll ask them a question. It's like, wow, no one's ever asked me that question. I'm like, holy shit, I've been asked that question 100 times, or I've asked myself that question, because I think it's Tony Robbins who has a quote that the quality of your life is dependent upon the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Something along those lines, right?
Yep.
So if someone asks you a question, you've never heard of it, and it's like making you think about your future, you should be afraid that they said it first and not you. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Did you hear that? I think it's dogs.
yeah, those are dogs.
Coyotes. Possibly.
I hope it's not guidance.
I hope not, because my 9mm is upstairs, like under a stack of books, and
Yeah,
I don't have time to get up there. We're gonna have to fight them off with these tripods.
they're not that close. We'll be fine. Yeah, we'll hit them. We'll hit them with the tripod. But yeah, let's look
Throw
at
some flaming logs at them; they won't come close.
Here's another fun topic. So we talked about uncover why they buy. Of course, we went on a tangent right there talking about questions.
Yeah.
Uh, giving value first. We could touch upon that for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then talk about creating a personal brand that attracts. Because that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So giving value
That's
first.
That's to a certain extent the third R.
Yeah. Giving value first, law of reciprocity.
Do you want to peel that one back?
Yeah, so for me, how do I apply that? I'll help people if like I'm there here with them in person. If I can get them results with their reading speed and memory something. Do it right now.
Yeah.
Give value first. I have a free PDF. Like you see people give free PDFs right for your email. That's giving value first.
Yeah.
Videos, content, that's giving value first.
Here's one. Where'd you grow up?
Sunnyvale, California.
Okay, where is that in relation to like the coast, Sacramento?
Coast, so from the coast, it's like an hour from the coast.
Okay.
From Sacramento, maybe like 5 hours.
5 hours. Okay. You spent a lot of time on the beach then?
I'd say so, yeah.
What were some of your favorite memories as a kid, just growing up an hour from the beach?
Let's see. We'd go to Santa Cruz. We'd go to Half Moon Bay, Monterey,
Yeah.
San Francisco beaches. So,
I love Monterey. My first wedding was at the old whaling station, like not too far from Fisherman's Wharf. I love that part of the country, man. It's great.
Yeah.
So there's value in that conversation. I'm leading with value, asking David where he grew up, because I'm interested in him as a person. I'm genuinely interested in your childhood. At the end of the day, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
yeah.
And we live in a world, frankly, where everything is so superficial. It's like everything is some sort of ad to get you to click here, to get you to buy something, right?
Yeah.
Like the media uses people, right? Social media, mainstream media, like everything feels like at times, to me at least, like a leech to try to like steal your attention, right? And you can bring value to your customers no matter what it is you do for sales, whatever your product is, whatever you do for your customers. You can bring value to them by valuing them. If you lead by valuing a person for who they are, and you're genuinely interested, not in their wallet, not in what their budget is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. What's your budget? No, interested in them as a person. Well, guess what's going to come from that? Well, then you're going to have an innate understanding of their priorities at a human level. And back to your point about the questions. Now you know what questions to ask, right?
Yeah.
Now you know how to lead that conversation. I know so many people that are in sales that feel as though a sales conversation is like a cat and mouse game where the customer is the mouse and you're the cat, and you have to figure out how to trap the mouse in the corner so you can get them.
That's such bullshit.
But
Like,
how many people, like, seriously,
yeah,
so many people, they train sales that way.
yeah.
They think of sales that way. How many of you, have you ever been in a buying situation where you felt like you were a mouse about to get pounced on by a cat? I have, right? It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you don't have to sell me. I just want the car. I just want the car. This is what I want to pay for it. Why do we have to go through all these stupid hoops, right?
Yeah.
But sales is not a cat and mouse game. Sales is a partnership where you identify another human being and you identify what their needs are and why they need it. And then what your job is to remove any obstacles that are in the way of them getting what they truly need. Because someone that needs, well, the girl that paints airplanes, right?
Mhm.
She needed coaching for her reading speed and just soaking her knowledge because she needs to write a book, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a female CEO of a company that paints airplanes. That's a story that needs to be told, not just for her sake and for her business and her legacy, but just for
Yeah.
other women in business, right? Like for other people out there. And so that's something that she needs at a human level. Agreed?
Yeah.
And by understanding her as a human, and then at that human level what it is that she needs, you're not selling her, you're helping her get over her fears and over her self-imposed roadblocks between her and the path to what she needs. And at the end of the day, that's how I view sales, whatever it is you're selling. And if you have that conversation with somebody and you get to know them as a person and you value them, right? That's how you can lead with value, is value them as who they are. And when you value them for who they are and you realize that what you can provide is not what they need, then you value them for who they are and you do the right thing and you tell them that, and it's going to turn into tenfold more business. Because guess what they're going to say to every single person that they know that needs reading assistance? Oh my gosh, I didn't hire him. It wasn't going to be a good fit for me, but he's such a great dude. You have to call David, right? You got to look up David Reads Fast, right? You got to look up David Reads Fast. He's a great guy. He's amazing. I'll make the introduction. They're like, oh, did you use him? It's like, I thought about it. I was looking at it, but he helped me find out what I really needed. But he'll talk to you. If you don't need it, he won't give it to you. But if you need it, you have to go with him, right? You'll get more business from turning away somebody than you would ever realize. It's happened in my past. I've turned people away, and like random people have called me. It's like, hey, I got your number from this guy, and I was like, oh yeah, how is he? And they're like, he's good. You know, he said I should talk to you about getting some coaching for my business. And I was like, oh great, right? Someone that never
I've seen that too.
right?
It's really fun.
Like
I've
someone
actually
that never
seen that.
worked with me.
Yeah, some people haven't worked with me. They're like, David, I don't need this. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I'd like to like share your info on my newsletter or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's something like, not to say that your examples of leading with value are wrong, right? Like giving
No,
information,
that's
giving
good.
content.
That's good. I think that's more impactful and powerful, and that really does help the audience here that's listening to see that value doesn't need to be like even like physical type of thing. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, like where did you grow up?
Well,
Things
and
like that.
now here's the real challenge of people and of sales. Everyone values everything differently.
Yeah.
Have you read the 5 love languages?
Yes.
So that's a prime example in the 5 love languages, right? There's words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, and quality time, right? So let's just use those as an example. You've got to have something of value for all 5 of those things going on 24/7 in every single step of your sales process, because you don't know which one someone is going to respond to. So you've got to have something for everybody that's going to that be the value that they cherish, right? Like some people would value their time more than their money. So the great thing for you is when you're teaching people how to read fast,
Yeah.
you can very clearly show the return on investment on both of them. Like you can articulate it like that. Say, hey, if I taught you how to go from 300 words a minute to 600 words per minute, a book that would take you 20 hours would take you 10 hours. Right? So the way my mind works, because I value money as much or more than my time, frankly, I feel like, hey, I only have so much time. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do with it. If I can get more money out of the time that I put in, now I'm thinking like, oh, great. Now I can read twice as many books and learn how to make twice as much money.
Yeah.
But for other people, they're like, oh my gosh, I can read the same amount of books, but I can spend more time playing t-ball with my son, right? So you got to hit on both of
Yeah.
those things, because that's really value. And leading with, like, being able to offer it is big, but maintaining the value to that individual person throughout the process is
Yeah.
big, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's super important. So yeah, that's giving value first.
Yeah.
Next thing, create a personal brand that attracts.
Oh, so you know a lot more about this than I do.
Yeah.
So I want to know from stage one to where you are now. How did you start that process, David, of knowing, okay, I want to make money teaching people how to read faster, to the point where you figured out what your Instagram needed to look like, and I did what you said, by the way. While you were taking a shower, I copied your Instagram, so I need you to review it later.
Yeah.
See if I did it right. I basically did the thing where it's like 4 emojis with some words. I just did the same thing.
Yeah.
Changed my name. I went with Eric Helps You Sell. I like that the most. He just gave me like 5 ideas, and I picked the one that I liked the most. You said you had to pay somebody for those ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cheated the system. I made a
gave
friend.
him free money.
So
I like to give people free
I'll
money.
so talk to me about the personal branding journey and some of the things that you've learned.
Yeah, so the biggest thing, one of the biggest hacks, so let's say you want more views, you want more content, but also having more views doesn't really mean more people actually liking you or wanting to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
So having a brand, having a story, having a message that is authentic, that gets people to think, all right, this guy's not bullshitting himself. This guy is speaking from the heart. He's not reading off a script.
Mm-hmm.
He actually knows his shit, likes his shit. I'd like to work with him. So, me creating a personal brand, and Jeffrey Gitomer said this. Someone asked Jeffrey today, is like, are there any good books on storytelling? I've came across his same answer. He said, there really isn't. There really isn't. There are some books that you'll probably look up. I've probably read them, and I didn't like them.
What did he say about the hero's journey?
Hero's Journey, yeah, but it's not going to help you with your...
I remember him saying at one point, he was like, that's BS.
It honestly, it's like, you'll see it for the movies, but
Yeah,
like for your elevator pitch, for your content, it's not going to help.
yeah.
Maybe for like a presentation framework, in a way, in a bit, I have used it. I have read a book on
Intriguing.
presentations.
Future topic. How to use the hero's journey in the present. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely break that down later. But back to the personal brand. So me going from no personal brand to having one. You need to figure out what, like, first going out and just talking to people, and then maybe writing a couple things down, like, is your brand kind of competitive? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
Are you more soft, feminine, masculine? Mine is a little bit more competitive and harder and like kind of like workout centric, where it's like, that's why I kind of have like a boot camp where it's not like some one whole year long thing where it's nice and soft, and if you mess up, you mess up. Mine is like, no, it's like intense, because I like intense, because that's where stuff changes in less time.
Yeah.
And then personal brand, figuring out what my story is, and then I did pay someone to like help me like figure out how to tell my story, what stands out, what works. Your elevator pitch, that's also part of your personal brand. That's something that we worked on in this 3D event with Jen and Jeffrey Gitomer. Personal brand.
So why don't you do this?
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that we're still recording because we've been going for a while. I want to make sure that we're not like talking to nothing,
Yeah.
because that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, let's
Because
do
it
that.
was
Let's
really,
check that.
really good.
Let's check that.
But while I'm checking that, take a second and think about that 30-second elevator pitch. You went through it, you did one, you did the like, get on stage, do it, and there's competition to that too. When you're doing that 30-second elevator pitch, you're like, all right, I'm going to be the best one. What's going to be the best? You know, because Jeffrey's there and he'll give you crap. He'll give you crap no matter what. That's one thing I love about Jeffrey is he's going to call you out. He's going to find something wrong. He's going to say, oh, that sucked. He should do this
Which
instead.
is good. I love it.
So, but it's like you want to impress him. So you're like, but at the same time, you've done it. You've had time to think about it. So think about it again real quick from the heart, you know?
Yeah, so to break down what we did in this 3-day event, another thing that we did was our elevator pitch. And what is that 30-second elevator pitch that is listener-centered, not just you saying, hi, my name is blank blank, I do blank blank, I help people do blank blank blank. People over hear that enough, they don't care, like, serve something for them. So one thing that I learned from Jeffrey that he says like something that's like, think about one book that changed your life. Something like that.
Yeah.
Write it down, spend a couple seconds. What did you actually do from that book? Like think about what is the action that you took? Did you make more money? Did you save a relationship? When was the last time you read a book and made more money the next day? That's what I help people do. Make more money and make it faster. So that life-changing book, how long did it take you to read it? What if you read it in half the time? That's another thing I help people do. Oh, shoot. That's me not having enough water. But yeah, that's my elevator pitch in the works.
Dude, that was great. That was excellent.
Yeah, because right there, what did we do? I didn't even say my name, and that was one thing that Jeffrey commended me for my elevator pitch. He's like, I like that you didn't even say your name.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've noticed that it's like you want to attract people to where they're like, shit, I need to get that guy's information.
Yeah.
Because, like, all you did was just give value. And then another thing that you could take away if you're watching this, you're struggling with your elevator pitch, your opening line, your question. One thing that Jeffrey did very well was you have to find something, and this is also in good copywriting as well, which is when you have a product, you're not creating desire for your product, you're reminding them of desires they already have in themselves. And the life-changing book, so there's a book called Made to Stick, and they bring up something called a schema. A schema is a mental model that already exists in someone's head. And the life-changing book is something that exists in their head and has so many attachment points, emotions, memories. So if I access that, now I could get you that's why I told you to think a couple seconds, even write down, even think about what did you do after that book? How did your life change? That's the thing here. Instead of me trying to be pushy, like remember, like we talk about, like pushy sales, which is, you really need this product. That doesn't even exist in your mind, so it's gonna fall apart.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good. I think there was a thought, you know, and it was like one of these little sparks from the fire, and it's floating up, and then it runs out of fuel, and it's like, phew, and it turns to ashes.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I remember the thought now. Talking about the elevator pitch. And this isn't supposed to be an infomercial for Jeffrey Gitomer by any means, but he's somebody that I really respect and I really appreciate what he does. And I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time that you did anything where someone gave you an assignment that was going to make you money and then forced you to take time to complete that assignment in their presence, and then had you present your finished work, critiqued and corrected that work, and gave you a better process that you could take home immediately and use. Because as simple as, to me personally, as simple as the concept of an elevator pitch is, because I read the Sales Bible like 10 years ago, and that's one of the chapters is you write it out, right?
Yeah.
It's something that is embarrassingly missing for most salespeople and business owners. And they think they have it, and then they give it, and it's like you said, it's just, Jen says it a lot. You show up and you throw up, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I, and it's like, you. Want to buy it?
Yeah, so it's like, how prepared are you when someone says, so what do you do? And one that Jeffrey said that was really awesome. So what do you do? He said, what do you want done?
Yes.
Pretty kick ass. Cause
Yeah.
kind of true. Kind of true, because your elevator pitch shouldn't really always be the same. It should be tailored to your audience,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
Well, and that's the
when
funny
you say,
thing.
what do you want done? That's like, this guy's a problem solver. Also, I don't know enough about you. to, like, tell you.
Well, that's one interesting thing about the exercise too, is it's like, hey, create your personal commercial is what it is. It's your personal commercial, no more than 2 minutes, right? The shorter the better. And there's a format in there like your name, your company, what you do, or no, it's your power question. No, it's what you do, then your power question, then your power statement, and so on and so forth. So there's a format that's in there, and then essentially what will happen is someone will follow that exact format, and Jeffrey will crush them because it sounds terrible. It's like too robotic, it doesn't sound right, it's like this, that, and he's like, that was boring, that was stupid. Do it like, right, and he'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
In the training, by the way, so you gotta go. I mean, you just have to go. It's unbelievable. He's the king of sales. He gave himself the title, and he challenged everyone in the world to take it, and no one has accepted the challenge. So he's the king of sales, and he will take the time to get to know you and understand your business. He will have you write your personal commercial, and then he will do it for you so that you can just steal everything he said and use it yourself. Right? Like that alone is going to be worth the price of admission, just to have Jeffrey Gitomer create your personal commercial for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think just the concept though is like, to your point, like it's going to be a different style for different contexts, right? Like, is this when you're at a networking meeting and you're talking to somebody? Is this when you're at an actual like business networking international meeting where it literally is stand up, give this little presentation to the group? Is it going to be when you're on an interview? Like, I'm unemployed right now. So I resigned from my previous company a few weeks ago, and I'm looking at options and everything. So for me, when I went through the exercise, it was the approach of I'm meeting a potential employer, right? I'm meeting somebody that I want to brand myself, talking about branding again, I want to brand myself as a different type of salesperson that's going to get them a different level of results that they may not have even believed was possible. But you're absolutely right. It's the context within how you deliver that. And for you, when you were doing yours, it was like, boom, right off the dome, straight from the heart, right? It was succinct, and it was compelling.